Greetings, Einherjar. My name is Tom, and I'm the director of Dragonstone Treasures Limited and the creator of Honor the Gods. Honor the Gods is a narratively driven, medium-heavy RPG dungeon crawler set in the realms of Norse mythology and comes with everything you might expect from a game in this category. A detailed rulebook and thematic narrative campaign filled with well-researched lore, procedurally generated maps, customizable player characters and open leveling, monsters, looting, and questing. What makes Honor the Gods different are three key systems and our core design philosophy. First things first, Honor the Gods uses a dynamic enemy behavior system, a multi-layered process that creates dangerous and somewhat unpredictable monsters that help keep combat and exploration fresh. Monsters that you discover on your travels have a behavioral disposition that dictates how a monster will act as you explore the map. Certain monsters will stand their ground, others may flee, and some of the more aggressive ones will actively chase you if you retreat. Once engaged in combat, monsters' behaviour is based on a set of instinct dice and a range of attack options. All of this together creates a tactical combat situation where you can never be sure how your target is going to act, and so forcing you to think reactively. This is explained in greater depth in the second half of this video. Next is our honour system. Honour was a prominent part of Norse mythology and culture, and we've tried our best to emulate this in our game. Honour is earned in a variety of ways. It is most commonly earned through combat, through participation, killing, or just surviving on really low health will all earn you various points of honour. At the end of a quest, or perhaps if you discover an altar, you'll be able to make offerings to the gods. These can be excess items of loot, or the bodies of slain fauna monsters. In emergencies, you can also spend honour to reroll dice or redraw encounter tokens. It can also be spent at the end of a quest to level up your character's stats, where each stat increase requires 5 honour plus the value of the next level. In this case, the druid chooses to improve their movement from 2 to 3 and pays 8 honour to do so. There are no skill trees or limitations beyond a level cap of 7 points per stat. Thirdly, honour can be used to resurrect a dead character. By pooling together enough points of honour from the rest of the party, the soul of the deceased can be brought back to fight once again. This is expensive, but that extra blade is going to be needed if you are going to take down those end-of-quest bosses. Finally, honour can be offered to the gods in the hope that they will bestow upon you their favour. Superior equipment from the forges of Asgard, new skills, boons, and divine blessings. These gifts will help you turn your Einherjar into a fearsome champion of Asgard. Whilst honour can be earned and spent, it can also be lost. Acts of cowardice like running away from a fight, leaving a dead comrade behind, getting lost, or dying comes with penalties. If you lose all of your honour, you become dishonoured and are suitably admonished by Odin, and your Einherjar character will suffer as a result. Our third innovative system reflects the realm in which Honor the Gods is set. Not without good reason is Niflheim called the Realm of Mists. This is firstly represented by the procedural generation component, where each step into the unknown contains an unknown tile with an unknown number of encounters and an unknown situation to contend with. Additionally, when various events in a quest are triggered, the mists begin to encroach on the map that you have already uncovered, removing tiles one at a time and forcing you to make some tough choices. If the boss is swallowed back into the mists, the quest is failed, but there is much to be gained by exploring the whole map, which is difficult to do if you all group together. If the mists leave you trapped, all is not lost. You can always summon the Valkyries for the price of your honour. We've found that the mists mechanic adds in a subtle level of tension to your games and your party's decisions, which leads us into our final point. Whilst lots of games get the adrenaline pumping and give players the anxious twitches, the frayed nerves, etc., these games can also be quite stressful, and we decided right from the outset that we didn't want to be stressed out whilst playing our games. Our goal with Honor the Gods was to create what we call positive tension, a level of suspense that players readily embrace, but one that doesn't leave you feeling exhausted afterwards. What we were trying to replicate was that feeling you get in your gut as the roller coaster clatters slowly to the top of the track. Jeopardy lurks in every corner of Honor the Gods, but we have spent a long time striking a balance between risk and reward in a way of working towards this positive tension. Honor the Gods is intentionally not an easy game, and we have tried to capture the Norse attitude of embracing the unknown, triumphing against the odds, and the desire for glory, or at the very least, a glorious death. But it is also not an impossible one, where a few bad dice rolls will bring your game to an unsatisfactory end. With all of these features combined, we believe that we have created a game that will feel familiar enough to appeal to a wide player base, but different enough so that veteran gamers don't feel like they're simply treading over old ground, and will enjoy it as much as the newcomers. To summarise, Honor the Gods Einherjar offers cooperative gameplay for 1 to 6 players. It has a solo challenge mode and a competitive arena combat mode. It consists of 12 90-minute quests, creating a rich narrative campaign, although each of these quests can be done as a standalone encounter. Dynamic enemy behavior system for both exploration and combat, procedurally generated maps and encounters, fully customizable classes and 8 archetype characters to get started with, open character progression, and approximately 400 game pieces with a mix of cards and tokens. In an ideal world, we would also include a set of miniatures, but this is purely aesthetic and is not integral to the game's systems. In this part of the video, we're going to walk you through some of the core mechanics for game turn, including movement, exploration, and combat. Quests begin with all of the playing characters on a single tile. Tiles have between 1 and 4 pathways which can be travelled through. In this instance, the ranger chooses to explore east and draws a new tile from the deck. Every tile has an encounter value indicated by the number in the gold circle. This number refers to the number of encounter tokens that are drawn when the tile is placed. Encounter tokens can be environment, items, fauna, weird, or the boss encounter. In this instance, the player has drawn 1 environment token. Drawing from the top of the environment deck, the player has discovered a waterfall, handy if you need to recover some lost endurance, and places it on the tile as a lasting effect. As we mentioned at the beginning of the video, our combat system is something we're really proud of, and it's one of the most important features in Honor the Gods. In this combat example, the ranger reveals a new tile, pulls a weird encounter token, and draws a White King enemy. If a player is in the same tile as a monster at the end of the round, a combat encounter is initiated, and play moves over to the combat arena tile. The monster is placed at the top of the tile, and the character is placed in the preparing section. The ranger has the following items and skills equipped. She has an ash bow, a hatchet, a bear hide cloak, and the aim skill. The first stage of any combat encounter is crucially important, as it tells us how the monster is going to behave. Roll the trio of behavior dice, which are protective, aggressive, and threatening, and see which scores the highest. Here, the threat dice is the highest, and so the monster's threat level is raised. This would be bad news for melee characters, as it makes their courage check, which they have to pass in order to approach a monster, that much harder to achieve. But luckily, our ranger has a ranged weapon, which means they don't need to worry about that kind of thing. Since our ranger is at a safe distance, she chooses to spend 1 of her talent points to activate her aim skill. This increases the amount of damage done by a single attack, but requires the ranger to remain stationary. The ranger rolls the skilled attack dice, as indicated on the Ashbow weapon card, adds the aim bonus, and gets a total score of 7. Comparing this result to the White King's defense of 5 means the attack successfully caused a wound, and the White King loses a point of endurance. Once a monster has lost all of their endurance points, it is killed, and the character returns to the map to continue their quest. Monster attacks work in a similar way, except the nature of its attack is determined by a d12 roll. In this instance, the White King has rolled a 4, which means that it will perform its stab attack. It rolls the skilled attack dice, adds 1 for the passive weapon bonus, and compares it with the ranger's defense. Sadly for the ranger, she only has a bear hide cloak, which offers little protection, and the White King's attack successfully removes a point of endurance from the ranger. Monsters get 2 attacks per round, a d12 determined attack at the start of the round, and a reactive attack at the end of the round. So be careful. If you're reckless, even a humble monster can bring you down. Sometimes an Einherjar character isn't equipped to deal with a particular monster, and there's just no real way of causing any damage. This is why it's important to try and work in teams. In this example, the Huskarl is only equipped with an iron sword, which is a fairly weak weapon. With only a basic dice and a passive bonus of 1, it's impossible to get through the mountain troll's defense of 6. Fortunately, within Honor the Gods, we have a support system built into the combat. Every time a party member causes a hit but not a wound, a bonus of 1 is added to the next character's attack. Here, the ranger hits, doesn't cause a wound, but grants the Huskarl the bonus they need in order to wound the mountain troll. Because these bonuses stack, it is possible to cause wounds on even the most terrifying of monsters, but you will need to think carefully about the order in which you do so. As soon as an attack misses, the bonuses are gone. Although Honor the Gods is currently being built on a Norse theme, the core game mechanics are not setting specific. Taking Honor the Gods' gameplay mechanics and applying them to different settings gives us plenty of opportunity for expansion. We've already begun considering what Honor the Gods might look like in an ancient Greek setting with Honor the Gods Atlantis, and doing our own take on the Arthurian legends with Honor the Gods Camelot. If you have any questions, please visit www.dragonstonetreasures.com and get in touch, and we will do our best to answer them. Until then, drink mead and praise Odin until the All-Father learns your name.